probably 15 years ago. And this guy calls and says, "Hey, is this Mark Wright?" I said, "It is." He said, "Well, this is Bert." I said, "I don't know Bert." And I'm about to hang up, and he's like, "No, this is Burt Reynolds." And I said, "I don't know Burt Reynolds." And he said, "This is Burt Reynolds, Smokey and the Bandit." I said, "Really?" And I said, "Well, why are you calling me?" And he said, "Are you going to this event in South Florida that Bobby Bowden, Coach Bowden's speaking at?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." He said, "Well, I'm really good friends with him, and I'd love to surprise him. I want to come here and speak. Can you have a seat at the table?" I was told to call you. I said, "Sure." I go to this event, and Burt Reynolds, I mean, he's pretty old at this time. I mean, he's really slow getting by, got a cane. And he comes, sits at the table, and Bobby gives a full presentation of the gospel. And Burt Reynolds is just in tears, just tears going down his face. I said, "Mr. Reynolds," I said, "You okay, brother?" And he says, "Yeah, man, every time I hear Bobby speak, it just gets to me." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because he's talking about Jesus." And I said, "Really?" I said, "What does Jesus mean to you?" And he said, "You ain't going to believe it, son. But he said, I got baptized this past year." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I had Bobby baptize me." He said, "I wanted to do it privately. I didn't want to do it publicly because," he said, "I still struggle with my shame." And he said, "I still struggle with God's grace." And he said, "I did a lot of bad things in my past." And he said, "I want to challenge you something." He said, "If a man like me can come to know Christ and get baptized, anybody can." And he said, my advice for you is don't give up on us old guys. Don't give up."